Welcome back to episode 48 of the Block Runner podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's up, fellas?
I like how you're setting up the math hat there.
Yeah, man, this is we're approaching crunch time. So
speaking of
the math message is like more important than ever, right? Yeah, the Caucus is like in a couple of days, ain't it?
Yeah, the Caucus starts on Monday.
Did we talk about that last time?
We did a little bit. So I showed Iman a couple of pictures of what a caucus looks like. Because again, we're not political guys. We never talk politics, dude. Like off the podcast.
Oh yeah, I mean for a good reason, dude. It's so like crazy, divisive,
toxic.
Yeah, it's toxic because everyone's got their own stance. Then you bring up your own opinions, then they feel like you're devaluing their opinions.
Yeah,
it's like a fucking battle of the wits, and I hate that.
You said a couple of weeks ago you were like losing friends because of like politics or something. I mean, you were like it was extreme, but
yeah, I was adding like salsa to the conversation. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was definitely we've had some hardcore arguments over political shit. Yeah, because there's another podcast we attempted.
That's right.
It was called Us Damn Millennials because the whole generation. Generations are always bickering at one another. Dude, we're better than you. So we're kind of I don't know. We wanted to elaborate on that a little bit.
The whole podcast was political, in a sense, right?
Oh, I guess. I mean, I wasn't in control. I was just a participant.
Yeah,
I wasn't running the show or anything. But every time we got into topics, it was fucking toxic shit, man. It was I didn't.
Well, I like the gun episode. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, See, I mean, these are all important things to talk about, but it's hard to have good discourse, I guess.
Yeah, it is hard just because you think you're right,
and people get passionate.
Yeah,
but
again, we normally don't talk politics, but it was really Andrew Yang who was hitting all the resonance with a lot of people. It seems not only us. So anyway, I showed Iman some pictures of the caucus, and it's basically you're in a huge room. There's a bunch of signs like Andrew Yang, Elizabeth Warren, and you go run around. You stand, under the sign, and they count you.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part. I mean, I understand how voting works, but the caucus is a little different.
And
but yeah, again, like we said last time, it's important because it's a swing state and all that stuff. To me, it's just this is the validation moment for me, how the likelihood of his campaign succeeding. Because at this stage of the campaign for Trump, whenever the first caucuses were coming through, he was polling around 30% or something like that in the Republican Party.
Oh, for the caucus?
Yeah, I mean he won obviously he won the nomination, right? But he was getting 30% of the vote.
Well,
at this stage is what I'm saying.
In this mock caucus for Andrew, he was getting 31, 32%
with the youth.
No. In the caucus.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders were much higher. But they were the top three.
It can't be, dude. No, dude. What about Buttigieg and?
No, they were gone. They didn't
Okay, well, see, we're speculating. So
no. This was a mock caucus.
Okay,
right.
Well, so that's my point. My point is that's why this is important to me.
Yeah, but it's still a data point. It's still
no. The real data is when the
on Monday.
Yeah, whenever this goes down,
dude.
That's why to me this is if he's under 10% or something. Yeah, you all hope is lost. I feel.
Yeah, if you lose, you don't move into the next round or something, and see that this goes to show we're not political guys, so we don't know the flow of this stuff. But nonetheless, all signs are pointing to Andrew Yang at least moving forward in this little race here.
I hope so.
I'm trying to find the picture, but it's
yeah, most of y'all probably don't give.
Yeah. Two shits.
A rat's tail. I'm trying to cut back on my cussing here, fellas. Apparently we've gotten some audience feedback that I have a way too much of a potty mouth.
A sailor's mouth, dude.
It is a little too hardcore. So I need to cut it back a little bit, just tone it down. So bear with me. If a little slip comes out from time to time, I apologize.
So here's one picture I'm talking about. So literally you're in a giant room.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of signs, Warren, Sanders, and Yang, and you just literally stand there until they count you, and you're a certain percentage of the entire room, and if you don't meet a certain criteria, like above 18%, then those people who don't meet that criteria have to disperse and go to a bigger group.
So why do they do it like this? Why don't they just do like traditional ballots?
Well, I think the way that I was explaining is so all they're trying to do is they're trying to gauge interest in a particular candidate with these mocks and polls and things like that.
Okay.
So one of the ways is doing a phone call and doing a poll, right? Calling 500 people, seeing what they say.
Yeah.
And so this is where people say that it's rigged because a lot of these phone numbers are landlines.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know a single person with a landline. Maybe in Iowa there's plenty, but
yeah.
And so the point here is that it's a phone call that's made, and then you get to see what people say. That's different than requiring a bunch of people to show up at a particular place and time and go and run around and stand like under a sign to like support a candidate. So that takes a different level of commitment. And so they say that this is a little bit closer to getting people to physically go out there and vote, cast a vote.
Okay.
And so that's why a caucus is so interesting and has a closer representation of who will people vote for. And so that's what this is. So this one is a particular like a mock caucus.
Okay.
And so the live one is on Monday. So they're going to do this for real. Now, I don't know, like, can anybody show up? I don't know. Do you have to like register, or they have like a cutoff date? I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, well, F it, dude. Only thing that matters is Tuesday. We'll see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll see.
So anyway, a few minutes ago, we were like preparing for this podcast, and we ran across Jack Mahler's little tribute, post on Strike.
Well, who the heck is Jack Mahler's, dude?
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, okay, so this is like some. You say he's a kid, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He might not be a kid, actually.
He's definitely not a kid.
He might be like one of those like 30, 40-year-old dudes who just like doesn't age or something. You know what I mean? Because like you look at him in his little videos, he looks like he's 18 there. And then you look at that bottom right picture on his Twitter page, like that's the chin of a 40-year-old man. To me, I don't know. So you no idea how old this guy is. But.
Well, he came out with this application that.
This is the interesting part.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and play you this video. I thought it was interesting. Let's see if it comes up here.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out like how all this works. I literally just heard about this like 30 minutes ago.
I've got Strike downloaded and installed on my phone. I've got my bank account connected to it as a payment method. I have no LND. I have no node. I have no channels. I have no Bitcoin. I have no capacity. I have no anything. All I have is Strike and my Chase bank account connected to it. I'm going to go to Fold. I'm going to buy this gift card over Lightning and get some sats back. I'm going to pay this Lightning invoice with US dollars. So here's the invoice. Going to scan it, confirm my payment. Just taking my US dollars and sending the payment over the Lightning network. Boom, done. Claim my sats back, and I've just used my Chase bank account to pay a Lightning invoice. You don't need a node. You don't need channels. You don't need Bitcoin. To interact with the Bitcoin and Lightning protocols, all you need is a debit card or a bank account. How easy is that? Shout out the haters. Shout out Jamie Dimon, Chase. We couldn't do it without you. All right.
Shots.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically he's saying that you're using your fiat and you're completing a transaction using the Lightning Network. And so the reason why I like this is because, in the situation where you don't necessarily want to use an exchange to buy Bitcoin because like, let's say it's at a good price, then you can just use the Strike application to go from fiat into Bitcoin.
Yeah, you're just buying Bitcoin from, to me, like the ether, because I still don't understand where this Bitcoin is coming from. So that's my biggest, like...
That's what we were discussing, is like, where does this Bitcoin come from? So
that could just like stem from our like potentially like critical misunderstanding of like what the Lightning Network is.
It's possible.
I'm thinking in my head maybe like this is just because if you're a merchant and you have like these Lightning Network channels with your customers, right? You said something about like the payment doesn't like process immediately, like the transfer from crypto to fiat.
Yeah,
you decide when that happens.
Yeah,
as a merchant.
Yeah, you can close the channel every single day
or whenever, right?
Or whenever you want.
So maybe like the Bitcoin that you're purchasing comes from that pool of like unclosed channels or something. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, that's possible.
Because traditionally, right, whenever you're trying to buy something, you have to. There's two parties involved, right? Like in an exchange, there's somebody who's placing their digital assets for sale, and then somebody else is giving them, value in exchange for it. Mm-hmm. So this is a little weird to me.
Yeah.
Right now.
No, it's a little weird, like where the Bitcoin comes from, but I think you're right. I think the liquidity comes from the channel that you're interacting with. In this case, probably Strike's channel.
Okay.
And so that Bitcoin that you're receiving probably comes from the channel that has a certain amount of Bitcoin locked up.
Yeah.
We'll have to investigate, but I like what Jack is doing here, because you don't need to necessarily go into an exchange to buy Bitcoin. Now you can just download this app, connect your bank account, and just like that, get Bitcoin.
Which is like, I mean, if this news is true, like this is actually pretty monumental stuff. I feel like this is like a big discrepancy within the community. Like people don't like exchanges, right? Because there's lots of KYC involved, and then they're holding your funds. You don't know what you're exposed to.
Yeah.
The dangers, I guess. And see everything apparently. Why does he say it's safe? Non-custodial.
So, Zap is non-custodial. At no point does anyone have access to funds besides you, the user. Your keys, your coins, your node, your rules, all on your device.
Jeez.
And so this is a beta. So I think I'm going to sign up because I want to try this thing out.
Yeah, we have to.
100%. So it says buy Bitcoin over Lightning. Go from fiat to Lightning in seconds. Delivering Bitcoin to the user over the Lightning Network is a monumental milestone for Bitcoin and its users. For the first time ever, users will be able to swap fiat for Bitcoin instantaneously without any custodians. Introducing the world to Bitcoin has never been so simple and efficient. So that's important. I mean, if I can just get Bitcoin instantaneously, like I'm all down. I'm game.
Hold on one second. What's this right here that we're looking at? This is like somebody's wallet, I guess. It's got
so we have sent. I'm assuming y'alls.org sent.
Okay. Yeah, I think
it's just a wallet.
Yeah, this is the interface, I guess. Okay. Scroll down. Anything else juicy in here?
So we have 4 sections. This is connect your node, multiple wallets, full node coming soon, and Tor coming soon. So Tor says Zap values privacy. Connecting to your Lightning node over Tor brings the ultimate power of privacy to the user.
Interesting. Well, yeah, like I said, that's the only thing that's like puzzling me. But I mean, what do I know? Apparently, like you said, this guy has like 30,000 Twitter followers or something, and he's got like some real notable figures backing him. So more than likely, he's not like bamboozling everybody.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's just something very new that we just discovered. But yeah, this is very interesting.
Yeah,
these are some practical wallets, I guess.
Yeah, so this is basically adding functionality to the ecosystem. Clearly there's a lot of work to be done, and like there's so many things left to be built. You just have to be knowledgeable enough to build them, or I guess get funding somehow.
But then it says on that interface, it's like you're stacking sats. There's like no Bitcoin anywhere. Oh, well, there you go. Total balance just says Bitcoin there.
Yeah.
On the other one, yeah, I know Satoshis are like fractions of Bitcoin, but still.
Yeah.
It's like, why is he doing that?
So this would be...
It's like one
Bitcoin.
6 Bitcoin?
1.06, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Anyways, yeah, I mean, this is interesting, something we need to look into for sure. And then report back whenever we fully endorse this product. Pretty much. Yeah, we don't like endorse anything, right? We gotta like look into it first, especially because they're not paying us g damn thing. I'm trying here, Will.
No, I mean, on top of that, it's like, when we were discovered Compound, when we were looking into it,
Yeah, exactly.
we didn't really know like where the interest was coming from until we like investigated it.
Yeah.
But like this is where it starts, man. This is ground zero for like a lot of things that we do here. So
It's true. Like we stumble onto things and then we like start thinking about it like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of useful stuff.
yeah,
And then we get deeper and deeper to it. And before you know it, we're actually
it's like
so deep we can't even escape.
you have a system like when you need to buy Bitcoin, you know exactly what you need to do for
Yeah.
the most part. You know that you need to go into Coinbase or Binance, transfer some fiat, and then do your transaction. But there comes a point in time where someone develops an easier way to do it, a faster way, a cheaper way. And if you're not actively looking for these things, you're going to miss out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we do this, because we want to show you that there's a lot of stuff being developed right now.
Yeah, that's
and,
important.
And we're learning as you're learning, right?
Yeah, we hear so much about the whole network effect behind Bitcoin. It's like, oh man, there's so much development going on behind the scenes in the community. And we're like, what are you talking? Like, what's going on? Well, this is an example of that. I
There you
guess.
go.
That's something good to take away from it. Like, if you're like a potential buyer, I guess, for Bitcoin, it's like, what is this network effect I've been hearing so much about?
Right.
This is like an example. Same thing for Ethereum. All these like DeFi projects. Like, if you don't, you gotta like actually look for this stuff. Like
That's true.
You're like, for real.
Yeah, if you're not looking for it, it's not going to just pop up into your feed.
Yeah, all you could do is like take it for face value. Just hopefully everything people are saying is correct about these network effects.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I think. Like the value is in that. For me personally, like
for sure.
If I'm investing in something, if you don't have like a community of active development going on, which is one reason why we're so balls deep into Decentraland, because we see that every day.
Yeah.
There's like tons of people like actually like passionate about it and working. That's what to me that's attractive.
Yeah, that's where you want to be, because you know that there's a future there.
Yeah, for sure. It's not like just a straight up ghost town, right? Like if you're like to invest in a project, you go to their Telegram, it's just like desolate.
Yeah.
Or if you go to their Slack, just like no for like I don't know, no interaction between like a team and their community. It's like, dude, this is going nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. So there was that.
Speaking of that, like let's look at Bitcoin's price.
Yeah, Bitcoin right now. So it dipped to like, what was it, yesterday? We were talking to 9,200. Now it's kind of recovered $200, still 94.
Yeah.
So I think this is good. I think I'm not the only one with the feeling of optimism here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm picking up from the Twitterverse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's not a whole lot to report here.
I mean, my feelings on that, like, markets tend to inverse sentiment in my experience.
It's different when it's a bull market, right?
Well, yeah, if it's like a real true bull market, it's like it's almost stupid to try and bet against it.
In your definition, how do you know for sure it's a bull market?
I think like once we pass 20,000 previous all-time highs. Yeah, man. What do you mean?
It's gonna take that long for you to be like, you're gonna miss buying at 10,000 to wait for 20,000?
I mean, no, because like smart money invests before like bull markets occur. Bull markets happen, if you invest, if you wait for that opportunity, like you just said, you missed a good buying opportunity. You kind of want to buy like in a bearish market. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
But as far as like if you want like 100% confirmation, when you break previous all-time highs, it's kind of like it's non-debatable at that point. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying like it's not a good time to buy. We've been saying that since like 3,000, dude. Like, it was like the barest of barest times. We're like still like not. You should be buying at these points.
Right.
Yeah, right around there. So, but was that a bull market? F no, dude.
No, it wasn't. Yeah.
There's nothing bullish about those times, but we're still saying to buy. But yeah, dude, look at that. Like you're 100% sold. Like we're in bull territory now.
Well, I'm saying like if I were a gambling man, am I saying 7,200 is the bottom of the next like little tranche? I would say yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Based on what?
Just like the history, the performance of Bitcoin in the past, and the fact that we have a cadence and all that.
Okay.
And so the cadence, like I said before, it's not going to be consistent every 4 years anymore. It's going to take a little bit longer for each stretch. But nonetheless, I mean, to me, like I expected this, not necessarily like the 14K. Like I didn't expect specific numbers, but I expected that when we were in March, when we started this podcast at $3,500, I said this is the lowest it's ever going to be for forever.
Yeah.
And it's coming to be true just because there's no way we're going to see $3,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We'll be lucky to see a $6,000 Bitcoin again.
Okay. Yeah, man. I don't like to make predictions anymore, but but yeah, you kind of have to, right? If you're gonna play, because Bitcoin is the driver of everything.
And like I really don't care about predictions either, because I know you're gonna be wrong, right? So I don't care about being wrong, but what I do care about is making the call as to like, does it make sense to spend $1,000 on buying Bitcoin now, or do you feel like it's gonna reach a lower price, like a relatively lower price? Like, for example, if it reached $6,000 in the next 3 months, that is an instant buy if there was ever an indicator. So I know for sure, in my opinion, to buy at 6,000 just because I can see it. Like,
you justify it.
You justify it, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing, like I knew that 3,500 was like, I mean, it was clear to me.
Where did you get this like little plugin where it has like the green and red zones?
I saw this little functionality, I think on TradingView. Some guy posted this algorithm for TradingView. I was like, so it was a nonlinear regression curve algorithm on TradingView. I was like, hell yeah, let's do it.
That's pretty sexy, man.
Yeah, so
TradingView is the shit.
It is.
For real.
It is. And then you can turn it off and it looks like a normal chart.
Then you lose all power, I feel like.
Yeah, you get a different angle on the price.
And you have to think for yourself, too. Now. Yeah. That's the problem. It's like, I want the lines back, Will. Bring it back.
Yeah.
David, I feel lost now.
See, I drew this line. If you notice, I turned this back on. I drew this line in parallel to this like green curve here.
You mean like you did it before you?
Yeah. So I would do it. So I drew it right here, like just in parallel, right?
I see.
And then I turned off just to get a perspective on things, right?
Yeah.
And so
to me, this shows it can go a lot lower.
It can.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is like once it hits 6,000, that's an instant buy because that's the support line on that curve.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like once it reaches that price, you don't think, you just do.
Put it back on the green and red. Has it ever hit the bottom? No, it hasn't.
Yeah, so at 3,000,
it did.
I mean, it was really close.
Okay, yeah, it pretty much did. Let's call that the bottom, which it pretty much was.
Yeah.
And is.
So
it's not crazy to assume like it doesn't have to, like, if you go back in time, how many times does it like hit this bottom? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, so can you look? Like, how far back does this chart go?
Yeah. So yeah, man. Shit.
It hit it, dude. It like lingered at the bottom for dude, went below the bottom at some points.
Yeah, but if you had this chart at this time, which it didn't exist, to be clear, but if you had this chart, this is just, dude, you're going through life just every day, just putting in $10 here, $10 there. But I was gonna say something here. Oh. So let's zoom in a little closer so you can have like an idea of what I'm thinking here. So let's assume that this green line here is a projection of, what's going to happen next, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we track the green line here, so we're tracking at $5,600 to $6,100, right? We're saying that it's very unlikely it's going to touch this line, sort of like what would happen in 3,500 range. And obviously it went below this line, but so that's what I'm saying. Like if we track this line here, we're at 5,600 to 6,200. Like if we see Bitcoin anywhere near 6,000 range, like that's what I mean by like,
yeah.
It's a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm 100% on board with your stance. Like, if it does get to that point, please let me know. Like, definitely send me like a
I'll take a snapshot of this. I was like, dude,
geez, like you
this
better
is evidence.
Buying,
yeah,
just remind me. I'm sold to everything.
Yeah,
like, because you're right. Like, there's not many points historically where it's like gotten much further below than this green support line, I guess. So it's like,
yeah, and then
probability dictates that it's gonna go up from there if it revisits this bottom, this green.
So, and then let's do the reverse. I was like, okay, we know when to buy, right? So,
yeah. Can you draw like some kind of potential projection? I mean, I don't know.
No, you can't. You can't.
Like,
so the projection here is like the nonlinear regression curve. We know where it's going.
Well, you have your own predictions, don't you? Like, by the end of 2021 or something like that, you think it's gonna peak out, maybe, or 2022.
So I said a couple of months ago that it was gonna peak at the end of 2021. Because we had a peak at the end of 2017, which is 2 years and change right after the halvening.
Yeah.
So a year and a half, 18 to 20 months after the halvening.
Yeah.
And so
I
said,
in order to like maintain this like rhythmic
cadence,
cadence of like.
So I said, well, then that means we're gonna see $100,000 Bitcoin at the end of 2021. Well,
that's what I'm saying. Can we go to 2021 and see, draw like a meme curve.
Okay, so
like you did, you drew a parallel curve for the green. Let's draw a parallel one for the red and see like what price it gets to.
Let me see if I can,
if possible. I don't know. Then maybe we get like an actual like top.
Yeah. So let me turn off this and just put a line on 100K.
Well, it has to follow the red line, don't it?
Yeah. But if let's second here. So here's 10,000. Well, so here's 20K. Let me put a line here at 20K. Let's do a horizontal line right here. Okay. So then let me turn back on this curve.
What the hell?
Oh, wait a minute. What happened here? I turned off the log.
Okay.
So now we turn it back on. And so that...
Damn, it doesn't even go to end of 2021.
Yeah.
You'd have to just arbitrarily...
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's like, so...
Well, see, you drew a parallel line to the green. You can't do the same thing for the red, and then...
Oh, I see. Yeah. So let's do that.
Yeah.
Let me go.
I mean, it's not going to be exact, but it's like...
Yeah, so let's touch here.
And I feel like your green parallel line's a little off. I think it's because you're looking like more short term.
Yeah, it's short term.
Like the parallel green line should be like trending, or not trending down, but you know what I mean. This is probably like so uninteresting to anybody who's like just listening to this and like has no idea what we're playing with. Like we're meme lining right now, people. We're literally meme lining. This is meme lining 101.
Yeah.
Like,
or it's not even a 101. It's like meme line 1.
Yeah, this is pretty bad meme line, dude. We're just like making shit up. And, like we're gonna be like, this is definitely gonna happen by the end of this. But screw it. Let's just see where it goes.
All right, so let me turn this off again. Right here.
Oh man.
And I have the log on.
Yeah, but how do you like go up?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like, oh,
here we go.
Here we go. Ooh, now we're getting somewhere. Now draw like a vertical line at the end of 2021, and then we'll have an intersection point, and then that's our price. That's our top. You know what I'm saying?
It's getting let me
zoom back in. What happened, dude?
Let me zoom back in. You're saying 2021, right?
Well, end of 2021.
Okay,
which doesn't exist, so we have to like determine it ourselves. You know.
Well, you can't because the line's cut off.
What do you mean? What lines?
Yeah, look, the vertical lines, they're no more.
Yeah, because it just you can't like measure the distance. No. Dude, arbitrary, man. Like whatever ballpark. Let's just see. Because 2021 May is in the middle, so So they just go like at 2x distance from May.
Right here?
Yeah, let's just put a line right there.
Okay.
Let's call that the end of 2021. That's the vertical line. Oh, man. I feel like this is how Wall Street must do it. 100%. This is what they're doing in Wall Street right now. Like,
Oh, damn. All right, how do I get my menu back up?
damn.
There it is. Okay, so we want a vertical line, right?
Yeah. Please. Vertical line, dude. What are you doing?
There it is.
There it is.
Okay, so we're
Right around
predicting
there.
right here.
Let's do there. Now, let's see the year.
So here's where we are. So 9,300, right?
Yeah.
And so here's our next resistance point at 20,000.
Yeah, but okay, where's the intersection? That's the juice. Right there. It's around 100. Dude, you've been calling around 120,000, haven't you? I feel like this might be pretty accurate, actually. We're going to come back to this
Yeah.
one day and be like, dude, we nailed it.
Yeah.
It's literally about 120,000. That's what you've been saying.
I know, man.
That might be legit be the top.
It's like I can feel it because there's no way, there's no sense in like doubling the Bitcoin's price, like going from 10 to 20,000. People have $20,000 in their bank account, right? It's doable. People do not have an extra 100K lying around, so that's much more difficult to like achieve. So I was like, okay, 120. That's feels right.
And now we have meme line statistics to back us up.
Yeah. So
120,000, dude.
So
That's definitely our exit point.
But here's the thing. So I said that by the end of 2021 that we'd get like $100,000. But then after doing enough research, I said that it's going to take a little bit longer to reach that peak, just for a lot of reasons, right, that we've talked about in the past. So I do not think, my prediction is not that we're going to get to 100K by the end of 2021. I think we're going to get to 100K by the end of 2022 or something like that.
Okay. But then that doesn't fit our meme lines probably.
No. That's the point, is like if we were following the cadence for every 4 years, like we would expect the peak to be by the end of 2021.
Yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, and there's no reason. I mean, based on historical evidence, you shouldn't argue against that 4-year cadence because
exactly.
But I mean, there's people out there who don't believe in it. I mean, they have good reason not to either.
Well, and the reason is because in a nonlinear regression curve, like the volatility first starts to go down.
Yeah, as the longer you go.
The longer you
progress.
Go. Yeah. And so once the volatility goes down, and there's a lot of other factors that contribute to this.
But then, like, over time, if this thing, like, lags over time, like,
lags.
All of a sudden the happening has, like, no impact.
Exactly. Because think about it.
That might actually, that might
once the halving goes from, like, 0.3 Bitcoins to 0.15 Bitcoins, like...
Yeah, like, it's arbitrary at that point.
It's arbitrary,
like, it gives a F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
It does make more sense. Like, the halvening becomes less, like, critical to the value of Bitcoin.
Yeah, because when we're talking about halvening going from 50 to 25 and 25 to 12 and a quarter, I mean, come on.
Yeah, like, right now, like, that's, like, the biggest thing people bank on is, like, this halvening event.
Yeah, because early on it mattered.
It's true.
But now... And it still matters. Like, I want to be clear. We're going from 12.5 to 6 and a quarter.
Yeah.
Right. That's still a big change. And then the following 4 years, we're going from 6 and a quarter to 3 and 125. Like, that's still pretty big.
Yeah.
But after that, like, now you're splitting hairs. And now Bitcoin's like, it's valued at 150 grand. And all of a sudden, it doesn't really fluctuate that much.
Yeah.
You're going from like 150 grand to peaks at 170.
I'm still holding out for 120K, though. That's definitely my, like, peace out price. No matter when we get there, I feel like.
Well, here's my opinion. Let's say we do get there, and let's say pandemonium is at a level to where nobody's ever seen this before in any market ever, right? This is like whole new territory for humanity. Let's put it that way. Even if you sell at 120 and it goes up to 200K, you shouldn't feel bad. Because Because what's the likelihood that you would have called it right? What's the likelihood that you would have stayed in and the price would have gone up to 200K?
I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like you can't know. So, so if it does reach 120, like don't feel bad by hitting the sell button.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if it gets, dude, when this next cycle, if everything everyone's projecting is correct, that's like about like a $5 to $6 trillion cryptocurrency market there, right?
Yeah,
that's a pretty freaking nasty market, man. Like,
yeah, that's gold market.
Exactly. That's what I was comparing. That's always what I compare it to. So at this point, to get to that point, there's definitely gonna have to be like some government, like gold, like rush to purchase. I feel like.
Oh yeah,
that's a lot of money, dude. $6 trillion. Come on now.
Can you imagine a country start purchasing Bitcoin at $100,000 price?
Well, you said it yourself. It's like hysteria or whatever. That'd be so crazy.
But imagine they start purchasing and all the smart people start selling.
Well, see, that's another thing I'm thinking. I don't know if a government can possibly put themselves in that position of like ridiculous volatility. You know, like especially investing that kind of money.
Well, it's going to go to 100K and the bottom, what, 20K maybe, 30,000.
I don't know.
So you do lose significant percentage, but like, we got a whole new bottom right at 20,000.
Yeah, and apparently, like governments are slowly buying into this. Apparently, you know.
Yeah, as they should.
We'll see. But anyways,
this
is interesting. This is what we do.
Yeah, so we talk about this pretty often, but
yeah, man. You know,
like so, and the reason we keep bringing this up is because we're getting closer to that date, and we made some calls, and we're just curious. We want to see how close we are.
Yeah, at one point we wanted to like create like a trophy display for how awesome we are at making predictions, but we never followed through with that. We got
so we have to go back to the videos and like catalog all the predictions.
True, I mean, but yeah.
But we've been pretty consistent. Like we haven't really like flip flopped on all these things.
But it's like there's no point really. I feel like I don't know. I don't have any like reason to be like, hey, it's like check out my track record of like excellence. You know,
I think it's more about like being able to feel the market, like having that ability to like understand like what's happening.
Yeah,
I think that's really what it's about.
Yeah, man. Like me myself, I've felt all phases of this market. I felt, you know, the euphoria. I felt the despair. Now I'm feeling like, you know, it's kind of like boring, whatever you want to call it. They call this the winter phase, but I guess we're getting out of that.
Yeah, it's funny you call it boring, but man, if we go back to like 2017, like 9,000 is like
exactly
reaching like
that was the euphoria.
That was the peak euphoria right here, and then a week later, it's 20K. Mm-hmm. It's like bye.
It was pretty intense, bro. I remember it like yesterday.
And then now we're talking about like a stable $9,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, dude, freaking snooze fest. It's like, come on, man. You're like that meme, like poking at it, like, let's go, man. Yeah. Kick it into gear.
Oh,
but
man.
This is the way to go. This is valuable experience, man. Like everybody, and those people who didn't experience that 2017 rush, like, you know, I guess like mentally prepare yourself because like whatever does come, you know.
Yeah.
There's certain things to look out for. You know, if this thing does take off like it did in 2017, man, like you're going to see a rush of like money entering the space, not just from speculators, but from like investors, and you're going to see all kinds of projects popping out like just like they did, and people making these wild claims like we're solving scaling 16.0 or something like that, and then people are literally going to believe in it, and it's going to like catalyze a lot of activity, right?
Yeah, your friends are going to be like, bro, have you heard that third layer solution?
Yeah, dude, there's a multiverse solution. You haven't heard of this? It's like freaking quantum solution. Yeah, like, come on, guys. Like you already know that's going to happen.
And you get that phone call, it's like, hey, hi, man, is it a good time to buy? It's at $115,000.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, prepare yourselves for all of that. It's going to be interesting times.
Yeah.
But so in the meantime, there's lots of other cool things going on.
Yeah, so we were talking about Decentraland, and let me see. I'll read you what I knew about this for a little while. On Discord, there's this thing called Decentracraft.
That's right. Yeah, we're always thinking because we're like we have multiple projects in the works for Decentraland and
so we got
cetera.
2 games coming up for Decentraland, and our due date is a couple of days before the actual launch.
Yeah,
and so I know Corv is working on it right now, and I think we can jump in really. So while I load this, let's talk about Decentracraft.
Okay.
So Decentracraft is very similar to kind of our idea in the sense of like NFTs and resources and all that stuff.
Yeah, we like vaguely we vaguely mentioned like one of our ideas or projects that we're like developing with Ben Kelly during that interview. And I think we even like went even further down the rabbit hole like after that. But the idea, and if you've been like a consistent listener, whenever we talk about Decentraland, we have like a common theme in our beliefs, in our belief system, our philosophy is like the idea is like drive, what is it like
interest or?
Well, for sure. Like we don't think people are going to enter the world and like if all they experience are like scenery, interactive or not, like that's not enough to retain their attention. Or their time investment. If you're trying to create like a successful project, that's like the whole goal, right? You want people to come back, essentially.
Yeah, and on top of that, my brother happened to be involved in Minecraft in like the early days.
Yeah.
And he was playing Minecraft when it was just a browser game.
Yeah.
And I forget what year that was, but
had to be early.
Yeah, like 2005, 2006, something like that. Anyway, he was playing Minecraft on a browser, right? Because that's how what's that guy's name? Well, that's how he developed the game.
The initially creator of Minecraft?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He has like an interesting name. So he created Minecraft just like using a browser, and I was like asking my brother, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, this game looks like it sucks. And so obviously, this guy sold the game to Microsoft for $2 billion or whatever. So, but I was making the connection that Decentraland right now is a browser game, right? And so we were experiencing a lot of lag, and I can see somebody jumping into Decentraland and not understanding like its value, its potential, like the whole point of it.
From like a user perspective, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like if you're a developer and you have like a creative mind, if you enter like an open sandbox type environment, you realize that like there's like an SDK available. I feel like that should be enough to get the juices flowing. Like, oh shit, like what can I do here? Right. But it's so early that like from a user perspective, I mean, that's what we keep debating, whether or not there's enough. I don't want to use the word incentive because that sounds like fake. Not fake. That sounds almost like
interest. Just basic curiosity, interest in like in the whole place itself.
Like I apply my own experience to things, man. Like because I have a very addictive personality.
Yeah.
Like I'm a gamer, but I've probably only played like 4 games throughout my entire life because I find like an addictive one and I stick to it because like it's something about that game like hooks me in. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've played a lot of other games, but like they lack those addictive elements. So I like dedicated a lot of my own personal time and investment into those. Like I'd say 3 or 4 games. One would probably be like Call of Duty, another one World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And now Dota. But essentially something that each of those games encapsulated is like a sense of accomplishment, a sense of progression, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So this game, from what I heard about it, Decentracraft, they're following those same sentiments, I guess.
Yeah.
And what is this? Oh shit, this is the new one.
This is the new one.
Dude, freaking Oscar hard at work, dude.
So our new game is called Block Hole.
Yeah, if you haven't figured that out, it's kind of like a black hole, right? But
yeah,
it doesn't make sense unless you play the game, I guess.
Yeah, so let me see if I can figure out how to get up there.
Yeah, this is like not even close to being finished, I don't think.
Yeah, it's definitely not. So he's working on it right now. We had a little bit of delay because of like family stuff earlier in the weeks. But the point of this game, it has the same mechanics as our other games, because the whole point of this game is that it focuses on being able to generate some passive income for the landowner. So, like, for example, we're a landowner, we've deployed this game, and people will want to play this game because the player can actually earn mana playing this game. So, again, like the mechanics are that if you are the top leader on the daily board, then you end up winning mana. And for every time that you spend mana at these games, you get a ticket. And the point of this ticket is that at the end of every month, we'll have sort of like a raffle. And the top 10, or the 10 people that get drawn in this raffle get to compete in a tournament-style game, the last man standing. And the last man standing ends up winning the monthly pot. And so, for example, if you're a landowner and you deploy this game, a percentage of the mana spent goes into the monthly pot, and another percentage goes into the daily pot. And so then, of course, as a landowner, you get your own percentage because you're hosting the game. So that's how you make passive income. And then the players desire to play this game because they could potentially win. And so you have like this reinforcement gameplay mechanic that have people wanting to come back because they could potentially win mana. So we created another game using that same mechanic, but it's hard to describe because it's not finished. So this is like a preview as to what we're building here.
Yeah. And this is just one example of, like, again, this is what we're doing. This is only like 4 parcels out of 90,000, so who the hell knows what everyone else is doing?
Yeah.
I mean, we do know what a lot of other people are doing, which is like, but the diversity is insane. Everyone has their own ideas, their own concepts. But that's what that's why I think you're right with the whole comparing this to Minecraft, like you said.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, dude, if you're around during those early days, like, dude, if you play the current version of Minecraft and you compare that to your experience from 2005 or whatever, 2004, dude, I can only imagine, like, how crazy, how much it's evolved since then. I mean, I've seen it myself. I've seen my nieces and nephews play, like, current Minecraft. It's pretty complex these days.
It is complex.
You know? It's evolved. Let's say that.
Yeah, Minecraft has its own servers, and in that server you can create your own, like, gameplay style, like Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it's a completely different iteration as to what Minecraft originally was.
Yeah.
Like, there's like a story behind Minecraft now. I mean, they got a whole like development team, you know, in Microsoft, like, working on this stuff. So
it's gonna be massive.
Yeah, they've taken it to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this is what's Decentraland is going to turn into, is like, once the developers really get a hold of to like what you can do in Decentraland, dude, things like this is like version 1.0 of like a good idea.
True.
Like, once developers see this, they're going to come up with something like so massively better.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to make this sustainable. That's really our goal.
Yeah. Agreed. And like I said, the reason why, this land wasn't free.
Exactly.
That's the kicker to this whole discussion.
No land has been free.
That's the thing. I think a lot of, that's where I think like a lot of the value is going to come from. Like this, there's a whole land ecosystem here that is untapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, if you have a 2x2 parcel, you want to maximize like the potential earning of the 2x2.
Mm-hmm.
So you build up. Like, some of these parcels that are not building up, like, they're missing out on potential.
True.
And so that's how I feel people are going to start optimizing their land, right? They're not going to just build a one-story thing and that's it. They're going to really optimize their space.
Yeah, you would think. But
So anyway, going back to Decentracraft, is they have like this whole ecosystem building an economy based on like materials. And so the way that this would work is that all these parcels that are going to be deploying like custom builds, like ours is a custom build, they participate in this ecosystem that if there's like a daily winner, they not only win mana, but they also win materials like leather. And so the player can now collect leather and then combine that in a gameplay style mechanic with some other material to make like a tent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you make that tent to have like an early version of like a learning center, an education center from a gameplay style, right? And then you can do some like ancient learning to build like fire. And then once you have like a fire material to collect, then you can start making other stuff like melting ore, right? Make metal stuff, metal tools. So now you're creating like this whole economy on materials within Decentraland. And so we had not a similar idea, but like a different version of it, where you discover ore in Decentraland, like an ore NFT, and of course that ore NFT can be staked and then converted into more rare materials by staking and all that stuff, like we talked before. But it's like a similar sentiment, like we know something like this is going to happen. It's just a matter of deploying one version or another, you know.
Yeah, and I've been tiddling with the idea of, I'm always thinking about what this ecosystem is going to look like and feel like when it's fully built out and not fully, but at least like way more robust than what it is currently. When there's like, oh shit, there's a third person view now?
Yeah.
What? Well, that just blew my mind. But yeah, I always think about that, and then I start to think, this character right here, this is your unique avatar, right?
Yep.
Think about this world when there's like, let's say 80% of the parcels are filled with interactive experiences. There's a good, healthy economy going on. There's tons to do. You could spend your time doing a diverse, pool of activities to choose from. So I'm thinking there's value in that character's time, just like there's value in your own time.
Yeah,
is what I'm thinking. So I'm trying to think of ways to access that time value. So the way I'm trying to correlate that with the mining concept is to try for people to stake their own in-game avatars as almost like you're going to work. Think of it as like in the world, what do you do 8 to 10 hours a day? You're using your own time. You're staking your own life.
Yep.
At work, and what are you getting in return? You're getting an income. You're making money. That's the whole point. You're exchanging your time for money. So why can't the same thing apply within this universe? That's what I'm trying to think of.
Certainly.
It
can.
I don't think that's something a lot of people are honing in on yet. I think there's a lot of people thinking how to extract value from people, but not so much how to generate value for yourself. So basically, what I'm driving at is like trying to figure out ways to like build out some kind of digital work economy within Decentraland. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking about the most. More than anything, because I think there's enough people thinking about ways to like
take your mana,
take your money, take your mana. But I think in order for this project to be sustainable, like if I was really, really wanted to be like immersed into this world and feel like a true resident, like not only am I just coming here to like, spend my shekels on things, I want to make some shekels in return. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just like anything. That's a true virtual experience. I feel like that's a full closed circle experience,
Mm. No, I totally agree. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't spend your time to extract NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
We only have to figure out the mechanics of like all the incentives. Like, why would a landowner buy like this mining rig to have people extract NFTs?
Well, again, see this that's all left up to market forces, basically speculation. So again, who's that? Oh, that's Oscar. Yeah. Look at him. He's just chilling. But See, this is like a delicate conversation, man, because it's like there's so many different angles to approach this at. Like, I feel like we're not even talking about it properly.
Well, I think there's two ways to approach it. Either we do an innovative way where we don't have a token sale like everybody else. That's the innovative way. No token sale. We do something else. Or we take the standard approach of doing a token sale so that we have enough resources to build out the whole mechanic.
Yeah, but see, you asked the question is like, why would a landowner want to generate these NFTs? Is that what you said?
Yeah, because if so, my thing is landowners will purchase your meta, if you will. They'll purchase your mining rig meta.
See, this right here we're looking at, for those who don't know, this game, everything that exists on this parcel of land is the meta.
Yeah.
This is the meta that we created, and that, this is what the players are to interact with, et cetera, et cetera. So now replace this with just like, think of it as like, this is a refinery, okay? This whole tower is just a refinery.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm thinking is, so the whole intention of the meta is to produce an NFT, but in order to do so, you need some kind of like user interaction. I call it staking. Like, let's say you have 10 slots within this refinery. They call them like you got 10 jobs. You got 10 employment opportunities for people to stake their characters there for X amount of time. Like X amount of time, let's say every 1 hour, if you have 10 people staking their character 1 hour, you produce 10 ores or whatever. Without those people there, nothing's being produced. So you ask, why would a landowner want to invest into a meta that costs them money?
Mm-hmm.
And in order to incentivize people to come and like stake their character, because they could be doing anything else. They could be gambling at casinos or whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's other metas out there where they could potentially earn revenue. Why come to this one? Well, because you as a landowner, basically you're kind of like a business owner. You have to pay these people in order to come work at your refinery. And so what's the return? What do you get out of it? Is this NFT? So
you're saying that you would pay, so as a purchaser of this mining rig, you would pay people to come and just like stand there?
Well, see, this, for one, there's a couple of issues. I don't know if there's some like idle log off in Decentraland. Like in most games, if you don't do anything, like Oscar, I'm assuming he's been standing there for hours.
Yeah.
But he's still there.
Yeah.
Right? His character's not doing anything. Why can't he, you're in this refinery. He's going to be doing the same thing. You're there, but your character's staked. You're not doing anything else. Your time is invested in this. And to me, there's actually some value in that. And the landowner, the reason why there's value is because this refinery isn't producing anything unless he has these people staking their character's time.
Yeah, but you're paying somebody to stand there. Like, I could just like get into this refinery and just like walk away from my computer.
Yeah, why not? See,
why? Where's the value in that, in doing that?
See, you're missing the point of like, you don't think there's any value in the metaverse. Then there is value. I think of a fully built out. Not this. This is a desolate world right now. There's a lot of things you could be doing with your character's time, just like there's a lot of things you could do with your own individual time. These characters have lives of their own, essentially.
No, I know, but you're paying people to stand there.
Yeah, just like I'd equate that to like, when you go to a job, you're working, but that's not what your people are paying you for. They're paying for your life, your time.
I mean, psychologically or philosophically, that's what you're doing.
Yeah. So what's the problem? What would you rather them do except just stand there, like actually like be clicking something, or what? For like every minute you got to click something.
Well, the reason why I would recommend like the actual human to do something is that the outcome, which is the ore, has like verifiable time staked into it. Like you can verify that somebody was doing something. Like in one of the cases that we were talking about is going through a CAPTCHA and just doing the CAPTCHA for like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
As boring as that is, the only way you could have extracted that NFT is that somebody spent, that hour doing a CAPTCHA
Mm-hmm.
versus just standing there. Because you could stand there and then the human goes and does like errands. Like there's no value in that. The human is gone. They're like doing something else. But if you know the human is actively doing a CAPTCHA, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know there's value there. Otherwise, you get like all your 10 old computers log into Decentraland. They all go to the mining rig. You leave them on for like an hour, and then you've extracted an NFT.
Yeah.
Versus requiring every single 10 computers to do CAPTCHA work.
See, then I'll throw this at you. Okay, what's going on the Bitcoin network? What actual work are people doing in order to sustain the value of a Bitcoin?
Well, the mining.
There's no physical labor going into that.
No, but it took money. It took money.
Yeah, there's money into this equation too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like with if you have a bunch of humans just standing there and they go away, you're taking that functionality, you're taking that value away. If they just leave the computer.
But why? What do you mean? I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Like mining, Bitcoin mining is completely different, right? Computer is actually doing work that a human can't do, right? To
fulfill a certain purpose.
And so this is the opposite. The human is doing work that a computer can't do, which is CAPTCHA. That's how you stop a bunch of bots from entering into your Discord.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you stop people from spamming you, is requiring CAPTCHA.
Yeah.
So you're flipping it on reverse.
So without that, it'll just be like just a bunch of bots. Like
basically
like
a bunch of bots, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're eliminating the bot stealing of NFTs from bots, like just standing around, to requiring humans to like prove that they're human.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know if people are going to be willing to sit there and
well, that's the point.
Yeah.
Because if they are willing to do that, then there is value.
Yeah. Depends.
It's like saying I'm Satoshi. I'm coming up with a solution to the double spend problem, but it's going to take thousands of dollars worth of rigs to stand up on the entire planet. Then my counterpart is saying, well, I don't know if people are willing to do that. And then I'm saying, well, that's the point, because if they are, that Bitcoin's valuable.
Mm-hmm. Just for, from an investment standpoint, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't know.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. You know, of course, because I mean that's our experience with things. You know, I don't know. I'm still thinking about that though.
I actually really like my explanation. I'm proud of myself.
Do you? Go over it again just so you can relive it.
So in Bitcoin,
and the reason why, okay, but there's another thing to emphasize. The reason why we're thinking so hard about all this is because, you know, there's a market that exists with NFTs, and we're every day we're learning more and more about it. I feel like there's everything is just generated out of what? Out of thin air. You know.
Yeah.
When it comes to an NFT, obviously it's not. It is out of thin air, but there's a purpose behind the NFTs. Usually, like for Gods Unchained, yeah, there's a team out there. They're creating this artwork, and they have like unique traits to them, unique properties, and the idea is there's a game to be played, right? So each of these individual cards is like a little piece of that game. That's where the value stems for them.
But nonetheless, those NFTs were generated out of thin air.
Yeah.
There was no work.
No.
There's no effort. It's just simply filling out an ERC 721 contract, and saying I want 10,000 NFTs because I'm going to create Gods Unchained.
Yeah, like you're just arbitrarily assigning them properties and traits, you know, and then the community takes off from there, I guess, with their, you know, breeding or trading, however they do it. The exchange mechanisms that each game has, you know, they take over from there. So that's where we got us thinking, like, you know, with Decentraland being this open platform that is there potential there to utilize it to create NFTs? You know, will that add like an actual intrinsic value to this digital asset? What I'm thinking. So in order for that to occur, I think you might be right, and there might be human labor might be more required, like a bigger requirement in order for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not. I'm not sure.
Well, okay, so let me go back to my Bitcoin explanation, is that Bitcoin requires work that a human can't do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hashing SHA-256, right? There's no way you can do that with pen and paper or in a calculator, right? You can't do that. So you have to employ a computer to do it. And now there's these mining farms that that's all they do, right? Is they hope to find that nonce that satisfies the linking between one block and another, right? So just to put it in crude form.
Mm-hmm.
So in the case of minting NFTs, we want to create a way where it just doesn't come from thin air like everybody else, like CryptoKitties and Guns Unchained and all these other famous NFTs. They just created a thin air and they made a cool game out of it, and they're successful.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, we can do the same and hopefully have the same success. But we want to put our own spin on it, on the concept of minting NFTs. And the way that we do that is with the same work mechanic that Bitcoin has, except it's in reverse. So like Bitcoin requires a computer because a human can't do it, our NFTs require a human because a computer can't do it. And so the way you do that is by employing CAPTCHAs, because CAPTCHAs, computers cannot do that, but humans can. It's trivial for a human to do that for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like Bitcoin has work being done onto it to generate brand new Bitcoins that never existed before, in our case, CAPTCHAs is our work in order to generate NFTs that never existed before.
Mm.
You see how poetic that was?
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. I think I'm just putting more I'm putting more value on the actual
staking of the dude. Stop with that, because that doesn't make any sense. It's like you're an idle computer. You're just gonna get logged off, essentially.
Do you know that?
Well, I don't know that for sure. I mean, you could stand here all day, but there's no value in that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess like these things don't run themselves. These characters, no matter what, no matter how like valuable this ecosystem becomes, like there's still a human behind everything, every interaction, every whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
So yeah, the value is still behind the person. You know what I mean? I don't know. For some reason, I attribute like because it's like by staking your character, no longer are you free to do anything else within the metaverse. So that alone,
but for how long? Like an hour, 2 hours?
However long you volunteer your time, to this network, to this NFT producing thing.
Yeah, but so what do you get in return just by standing there?
You get paid.
See, that's like, it becomes weird because the landowner buys this mining rig, and then you got to pay people to stand around.
Yeah, because it's basically like by purchasing these mining rigs, you get what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, I guess
like
you're the
priority access to minting these
NFTs. Yeah,
instead of just going directly to Dapper Labs or whoever made CryptoKitties, I think it's Dapper Labs, and buying the cat and spending your fiat directly to buy an NFT. Now you're producing the NFTs, but you're slowly paying for them. And the people who are making money is not Dapper Labs. They're actually people within the community. They're the ones who are making the money. That's where I think the value comes in. Is going to create like an actual, like I say, a closed loop economy for Decentraland. That's where I think the value is going to come from.
It'd be crazy. Like, you remember in The Matrix, you have a bunch of like batteries like hooked up to the network, right?
Yeah.
What if we sold like a tiny version, like a 1 parcel size mining rig to landowners? And only the landowner can stand there all day and just do a bunch of CAPTCHAs, and that's how you generate your own NFTs. So like you have to buy a mining rig in order to generate these NFTs. And if you don't buy a mining rig, then you cannot get an NFT. And through that mechanism, we can at least fund this partially to build out all the smart contracts that we need. Because there's a few, I think like 3 or 4. And
probably more than that.
no, I think it's not that many. It's not that many.
All right. Yeah, continue.
So only those who purchase this tiny mining rig can generate these NFTs, and that's that. And the only risk is we don't have a lot of landowners purchasing these mining rigs, and therefore there's not a whole lot of money to build the smart contracts, and therefore less incentive to collect these NFTs in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that's what we're talking about this. Hopefully I explained my side, my way of thinking clearly. You know, I'm kind of like stumbling on my own thoughts here, thinking about it. But I'm planning to like write something that's like cohesively, like, you know, brings my whole thought process together.
A white paper.
Hopefully, okay, yeah, it's basically a white paper.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, you know, if you're listening to this and you know, like I said, my thing is I'm actually valuing the time of these characters. But the thing that could detract from that is the fact that you can just make 100 of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but still, there's only limited capacity. You know, you can't just claim 100, you know, spots.
Yeah, but then you're arbitrarily limiting it.
What do you mean?
Right. If people do the work, they should collect as many NFTs as they want.
You're talking about if your concept. If you're a landowner and see, you're fucking me up. Well, you're going back to your thing. I'm thinking about my idea. Now you're you know, mixing things together. I'm talking about from my perspective. Damn, what the fuck was I talking about?
Well, I mean, ultimately, you're hinging on people just standing around, and I don't think that's like valuable.
Yeah, see, that's where we disagree. You don't see any value in
No, I don't.
Yeah, you don't.
Because I could go, like, I'm standing here in Decentraland, like at the Block Runner Tower.
Yeah.
I could go downstairs and like wash the dishes.
Yeah.
And I'm staking my time. Like I don't know. And then you're paying me to stand here.
Yeah, because without it, then there's nothing being produced.
Well, then why couldn't I just buy a bunch of avatars and just stand here all day and get paid all day?
You as a landowner?
No, me as a player.
Well, again, like I don't know. There had to be some kind of like, yeah, you wouldn't want to kick people out, would you? Like after a certain amount of time. Yeah, see, if you're like the first person to find out about this, you could just claim all the spots and like never leave.
Well, yeah.
Right? Especially if you're getting paid to do that.
You can game that system.
Yeah.
You couldn't game doing a bunch of captchas. You couldn't game it. You would have to literally employ a click farm to game it.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, that's worth its value because people are sitting there. You're paying people to sit there to captcha.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't have a computer to do this.
You could do captchas within this, like.
Well, that we'll have to investigate. But.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I understand that.
So the reason we're talking about this is if you want to bounce an idea off of us, we're wide open.
Yeah.
Please join our Discord, comment on YouTube. We want to hear your thoughts because it boils down to this. How do we generate NFTs without requiring an NFT sale like everyone else? That's the question. How can we mint NFTs without requiring a standard NFT sale? It could be an NFT sale to a certain degree, like we're talking about these mining rigs, but it's not a generic NFT sale like we've seen with CryptoKitties and these other NFTs. And this and what really it boils down to like a game theory. Like what kind of a game can we come up with where work is being traded for an NFT?
Mm-hmm. And time.
And we'll have to look into captchas as well, because I think you can get paid by doing captcha. Like doing captcha work, I think you can get paid. Now, of course, it's pennies, but nonetheless, it's work.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Like actually doing captchas.
For who?
For some website. Like there's actual
What
tangible value for doing CAPTCHA. Like
Really?
it's you're training a network, a system, a machine learning system to distinguish what is a bus to what is a sidewalk, what is a stop sign to what is a car.
Yeah.
You are doing actual work for humanity by filling out a CAPTCHA.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware.
I'll try to find that and put in the link in the description. That way you guys can kind of read up on that. But there's value in doing CAPTCHA for real.
Is there any other system like similar to a CAPTCHA, or is that like?
Well, we've seen
standalone?
one with like Binance where you kind of like slide the slider.
Well, yeah.
That's like a CAPTCHA,
Well,
but it's
that
not.
is-
It's not the same. You're not training a system.
Yeah, it's just something that requires like some kind of input that a machine can't do.
Yeah,
Basically. That's
and I don't know. Maybe CAPTCHAs have a short lifespan because I think computers are getting better at.
yeah. I was thinking, yeah, if the end goal is to create like a machine learning,
Yeah,
at
we're working towards the end of that, right? Because we're training the machine that's supposed to like understand like what pictures are. You know.
yeah. So over time, these becomes less and less reliable as like a source of authentication or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Damn. See,
It's crazy how that
aware
works.
of that. That is crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder who the fuck made that. But
Yeah,
hey,
some kind of genius.
yeah, right.
So yeah, so we'll leave it up to you guys to like, contact us and give us your thoughts. If you want to work on this with us, let us know, man. We're wide open. Yeah, and I think that's it, man.
Well, I mean, there's just so much more we could talk about, really.
Really? Like what? I think that was like the main like guts of everything.
Guts, yeah. But like I said, like the main driver of all this, I don't know. I kind of want to just dive deeper into like the whole purpose behind all this.
Like what? Like what purpose?
Behind this whole idea of like, see, you
So
don't
we're-
necessarily think Decentraland is required for any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing. I was like, well, how do we create this without necessarily requiring Decentraland to be part of it? Now,
Yeah.
not to like exclude Decentraland, more like having like exclusive assets for Decentraland and other assets for like the website, for example, so that you don't have to require users to go into Decentraland because maybe they're not gamers, man. For whatever reason, they don't want to go into Decentraland, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the same functionality, but a different outcome, like a different
Yeah.
a different starting NFT is resulted from work being done on the website versus work being done on Decentraland.
Mm-hmm. But this isn't just like any kind of, like the idea also originally was to create some kind of a value added proposition to existing NFTs too. So the idea is like we want to create another like a staking platform
Oh yeah,
for like this isn't just like a resource that arbitrarily exists. There's a purpose
for sure.
it.
So yeah, so the conversation that led up to this current point was really about starting the NFTs, like the birth of this NFT.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the functionality of this NFT is that it can be staked into a smart contract. And with DAI, you can stake this or NFT with DAI so that, let's say, the first evolution of this ore goes from an ore to carbon. And you have to stake that for 3 days with $100 worth of DAI. And so you stake that into a smart contract, you get your $100 worth of DAI back, you get a brand new NFT. The original NFT gets burnt into an address that no one has access to. And you have a new NFT that you know for sure required 1 week's worth of staking plus $100 worth of DAI. And so the fee for this is that the network gets to keep the compound interest on that DAI for that week. So that's why you get it's like pool together.
Mm-hmm.
And pull together, you give them your DAI, right, into a smart contract, of course. They use your DAI to accrue interest for that given week. And then they do a raffle, and whoever gets drawn in this raffle wins the compound interest of the collective pool. and you get your principal back. So it's a no-loss gambling game. So in this case, it's a no-loss NFT upgrade.
Yeah. You said pull together is no loss gambling game. I thought you were talking about this. No.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing. It's a no-loss like NFT upgrade because you're staking the 100 DAI, you get the 100 DAI back.
Yeah, but it's not gambling in the sense that you don't know what the outcome is. Like if you're staking your...
No, for sure. It's not... what I was saying, pull together was a gambling game.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about this.
No.
But the idea is so now we're trying to derive whether or not there's any added value to you staking. Not only you're staking money, you have to wait.
Yeah.
So there's time.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the point because that NFT represents the time and money required to generate the NFT.
Mm-hmm.
So
you hold on to this thing for 5 years or whatever.
So that's level 1, right? Level 2 is staking that carbon again for 3 months plus $500, and then you get diamond NFT, right? Same process, right? You get your $500 back after 3 months. You get this diamond NFT, and so when people see this diamond NFT, they know for sure that it took 3 months of work of staking, right, and $500.
Yeah,
and then you keep progressing. Like next one is 6 months and $1,000. Next one is, a year plus $2,000. Things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why when we were breaking this down, that's why I thought, like, if we just created NFTs out of thin air like everybody else and then apply them into this staking platform, and then the end product is this nice and shiny diamond that you can imbue with let's say a crypto kitty.
That's right.
All of a sudden you got a diamond crypto kitty.
That's right.
But I thought that wasn't enough. I think
shit. That's like, that's more than enough in my opinion. that's the game in my opinion.
Well, not necessarily. It's not really a game at all. It's just I don't know what you call it. We're calling it imbue.io, but
yeah,
that's what it is. I mean, it's just a staking platform.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're not winning a lottery. You're actually getting an NFT.
I mean, ultimately, like, we're creating this NFT, but we can't arbitrarily create a bunch of diamond NFTs and
no,
we can't do that because it's the only way to do that is with a smart contract. And that smart contract requires time and money. And so we can't just artificially just create a bunch of diamond NFTs. That would defeat the purpose. And so if we have a bunch of people on the planet staking their carbon NFT to create diamond NFTs, that NFT is very valuable because that's the only way to mint that NFT.
Yeah. So I guess this begs another question that we could throw out there to the community, if anybody listening. Okay, so after explaining this staking concept, the origin material that's used pre-staking,
the ore.
Do you think personally, will the value depend or change, based on whether or not this is minted out of thin air, the origin ore, just like every other NFT? Yeah, each one's gonna have its own properties, its own its own purity, its own shape, its own color, whatever.
Yeah.
Just like all other NFTs have. There's uniqueness to them, but still they're minted out of thin air. Or will the end product of a year of staking have higher value if there's some kind of proof of work and time element from Decentraland, in order to extract these.
So
resources.
ultimately, if you could just buy the ore versus proof of work ore, which of the two has more value? Which one is more interesting? Which one would you think the community would care about more, would be interested in participating more? Is it just buying these NFTs, or is it just minting these NFTs through a proof of work mechanism?
Yeah. And utilizing, like I said, Decentraland's intrinsic value layer, like the land itself, because it's not free. This is land that people who own these parcels actually have to agree to, host this resource, and they have to.
Yeah, and that's the question: is
there value in that? We don't know.
Do you care whether you can mint this in Decentraland, or does that not really play a factor into like its potential value in the future?
Yeah, we need to hear from like non-biased sources and like people who are, you know, within Decentraland would probably tend to favor like, you know.
Probably favor Decentraland.
Yeah.
See, the thing with Decentraland is that it requires 3D assets and like a different set of skill sets that may not necessarily be required in a minimum viable product, right? And so that's really what it comes down to is like, when you have limited amount of resources, where do you place it? What's the best place to place it?
True. Yeah, but yeah, I'd be interested to see if anybody gives some kind of feedback. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is us just literally, this is what we do.
Yeah. And
so
let's talk about the last wrinkle, right? The other wrinkle.
What was that?
It's synthesizing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So when you have like the base ore, like you can synthesize two ores together. Mm-hmm. And so the other idea was like, if you get two ores together and you synthesize it into a new ore, like the two ores either disappear or they get burnt and you have a new resultant ore with new properties, right? Randomized properties, or some game mechanic where it leads to more rare properties for this particular ore. So we have this deflationary aspect. So you start with 100,000 ores, and then with time, with people trying to generate more rare properties, because the more rare properties that you have, the more valuable the NFT is perceived. And so kind of naturally, like everything else, if you have like
this is like proven, you know,
proven game mechanics. Like if you
all other NFTs have used, and
like CryptoKitties, like if you have a Genesis CryptoKitty, that's worth a lot more than like, you know, some other CryptoKitty.
Yeah.
And so properties, you know, have a rarity to them. And so the idea of synthesizing two ores together is to potentially yield a more rare NFT ore.
Yeah, and then down the line, if you know, again, you stake these things and they turn into something, not only is it rare in the sense that there's a limited amount of ores that have similar properties, but it's also gone through a staking mechanism where now it's you know, had time and financial resource caked into the value of it.
That's right.
Again, and all this is verifiable because of the blockchain.
That's right.
So the thinking is, you know, you imbue all this additional value into an already existing valuable asset. That's the whole idea behind the whole thing. You know, otherwise, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, what the hell are we collecting?
Yeah, and then so once you have like these rare ores, you stake them for more rare diamonds and galactic cores, etc. Then you can merge them with standard NFTs to like flex.
Like, who the hell knows what direction is going to go down? Like as far as like application, it could literally be like you just called it a solar core. That could be like a very important. Like if you played World of Warcraft, there's socketing slots to your items. You know, what would you rather socket your rare? You got this rare axe from a game within Decentraland. What would you rather socket it with? Like something that's like arbitrarily created out of thin air that somebody says has some value to it. You know, it's just like some artist who drew something.
Yeah,
it's like, ooh, all of a sudden, you know, you got this rare sword that has this, you know, minted out of thin air property to it. Or you actually have something that was difficult to obtain. There's lots of chains of transactions for it, you know, from one person to the next. You know, it has an origin to it that's, you know, there was some work put into it. And then there's verifiably like years in order for this thing to exist, you know? Yeah. Like, what would you rather have? Or what do you think would make your weapon more valuable?
Yeah,
in essence.
And I think the answer is pretty clear.
I think so too, but I don't know. We could just be fucking crazy. I don't know. Like, you know, this is how. But this is like, it's an open realm, man. The whole NFT thing and Decentraland, like all this stuff is brand new. Yeah. I think if we build it out, it might be easier for people to understand. And that's, I mean, I feel like there's some legs here because, I mean, we keep talking about it, and to us it makes sense. Yeah.
Like, We just need to collect some resources in order to make it happen.
Yeah. And again, the reason I don't know, I really want this Decentraland integration is because I feel like something like this is needed for this ecosystem.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Whether or not we should care that deeply about it, we care because we're in,
But what I would say to that is we just build a branch off the evolutionary chain of an ore, right?
Okay.
One branch leads to a galactic core. Another branch leads to freaking Batman's heart, down Decentraland.
Oh. Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm talking crazy here.
Okay. Get crazy with me, Willis. What are you talking about?
Like the Fortress of Solitude's essence, right? That's the final stage if we go down the Decentraland path. And then if you go down like the website path, you get like a galactic core.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I don't know what the hell you're talking about now. I know what you're saying.
It's like you just create a different evolutionary path depending on which place you stake it at.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted. A new leaderboard just popped up, I think, or something. But oh nope, it's bad. It's gone. Okay. You see that? The floor just changed.
Where, over here?
Okay, never mind. You clearly didn't see it.
And I missed it, dude.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, I could just sit here and keep spitballing ideas with you, dude, but I don't know how interesting. I don't think this is like interesting at all to people, but maybe it is. Again, let us know. Again, but this is what's crazy about Decentraland. Is that there's people who are doing the same thing. We're just trying our best to think of things like how to use this fucking thing. Because literally in 2 weeks, this thing launches. The developers go away and they vacation for the next 20 years probably. I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm sure they're gonna be involved. That was a joke.
Yeah.
But the whole idea is it's up to us, the community, to do what we're doing. Think of things.
Right.
To me, that's the most interesting thing about this whole project is how the community is gonna run itself.
No, I agree. Opinion. No, I agree. I mean, that like you're saying, just to harp on your point is we're trying to figure out how to create value.
Yeah,
that's really it. And to me, it's interesting. Game theory by itself is interesting. How do you create just a generic game that people want to play that is addictive, that is just like every other game that exists, Fortnite. That's taking over the planet to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Right? That's because the game mechanics have people addicted. Right? Somebody had to sit down on a round table to figure out how does this game work so that people like to play it.
I mean, they pretty much copied an already existent framework. Battle Royale games, there's tons of them before. Well, not tons, but, PUBG and et cetera. But they cartoonified it. And for some reason,
yeah,
that makes it more appealing to a mainstream audience. Realism doesn't sell anymore these days.
Yeah.
Maybe another reason why Decentraland might actually be a booming success. It's pretty cartoony.
Well, I think games that are realistic are not necessarily successfil. I think it's the gameplay.
Not. Yeah. Well,
the gameplay is the only thing that matters, and gameplay is what we're talking about.
Yeah, I guess Fortnite for some reason. I mean, I played. You use Fortnite as it's actually a good example. Why was Fortnite so much more successful than previous generation Battle Royale games, which were basically the same game? The only thing Fortnite did was added a building layer on top of it or something like that.
See, and that's the little wrinkle that
that might be it.
Maybe people like. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
And so we're trying to come up with our own wrinkle.
But you're right. Yeah,
proof of work minting or just buying NFTs. Which one do you perceive more value?
Yeah, so that's the whole thing. We need actual feedback and stuff. So yeah, if you have any, please, like Will said. All right, now we'll end it here.
Yeah, we'll end it here.
I try my best not to cuss.
No, that was good, man.
Anyway,
I don't think you cussed at all.
No, bullshit. Well, I just did. There was definitely some cussing, but Whatever. Hopefully I get better and better.
Yeah.
I don't know why I ended up like it's such a degenerate, but whatever. It happens.
All right, guys. I appreciate you joining us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner. And like I said, just join us on Discord, comment on YouTube, whatever you enjoy doing. Hit us up. Tell us that this idea sucks and you shouldn't waste any more time talking about it.
Yeah.
Any feedback is
Like,
appreciated.
Brutal honesty, yeah. For real.
Yeah.
As brutal as you can get. Like, no joke. You
Yeah.
know, and, you know.
Or if you're a smart contract developer and you'll be like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, this is a cool idea.
Yeah.
How do we join forces?
Yeah, or if you're, like, in the Decentraland community, you want to get involved too. Like, for real. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
All right,
like,
guys.
At some point, we want to have, like, more Decentraland.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
people on this
we want to
podcast.
have, like, a round table, preferably before Decentraland launches.
Mhm.
Like, a round table is, like, logistics, like, everybody's timing, and everybody's, like, all over the planet. It could be more difficult than I anticipate, but we got to try.
Yeah, I already have, like, problems when we just interview one person. Like, just,
Well, yeah, the one person's, like, Vietnam, and then Australia, and then, like, UK.
But my problem meaning, like, it's hard to have a conversation with them because there's, like, a little micro delay.
It's true.
And for some reason, it's tough to, like, have an actual conversation.
You know what?
Like,
I mean, we like Peter McCormick. What he does with this podcast is he physically shows up all over the world to interview these people.
Yeah, and at first I was like, no way. Like, that's so stupid. Why doesn't he just Skype call them? He'll save a lot of money. But now I'm starting, the more interviews you do, it's starting to click in my brain. Like,
it's more personable. It's more authentic.
And it's like, it's
easier
actually
to do.
It's difficult to have, like, a conversation, like, when the person's not there. Like, and then, like I said, there's, like, a little delay between the communication.
Yeah.
So you don't really ever know when to, like, jump in.
Yeah.
Because then if you do, there's, like, a 2-second delay, and you're like, what? What? Did you say something? Like, it interrupts the whole flow of the dialogue,
I think it's just a different way of communication. Like, for example, if somebody's, like, ranting away, as like, hey, I have a question, and you just let them finish. It's like, hey, what's your question? And even though, like, there's a delay.
That's not a real conversation. Like, if we were talking, like, hey, Will, I have a it's like, stop, shut up. You know what I mean? Let me throw something in there.
Yeah.
Like, I just start talking, like, whenever
But you know how it is. Like, when people get into a flow, like, you don't want to break that train of thought.
I 100%. That's why, like, I usually, when we interview people, I just shut the hell up.
Well, yeah.
Because, for one, they've been pretty good guests so far. They have, like, lots of cool stuff to say.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, I don't want to fill any time with, like, my stupid mouth. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, in my head, I have, like, all these burning questions because I want to understand more. But it's like, dude, like you just said, you don't want to cut them off and then, like, making a point.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
I mean, I think this is all just, like, not only is it the technology point where it's just, like, it's not human to human, but it's also, like, we're still just learning how to do this,
Yeah,
the interview thing.
No, absolutely. Yeah, this is like this is a process, and once I think we can get interviews, like physical interviews. I think that's what we should do.
Shit.
But
well, yeah,
a lot of stuff
definitely
needs to align for that to happen. But
I think we have, like,
that's the goal. I mean,
we gotta have a lot of goals. Like, seriously.
Yeah. All right, guys. Now I appreciate you joining us, and you know what to do. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. So we'll be back next week.
Appreciate all y'all for sure.
Yeah,
for real.
We'll see you next week then.
Right, we're out.